I'd love to hear about how your military experience and if there were any particular skills that you developed there that has helped you as a business operator.
That was a really interesting period in my life. I was, again, the person to ask forgiveness rather than permission. I got in trouble a lot. I was very good. I got promoted plenty. I got demoted a couple times. It was very up and down because on one hand, I was very professionally proficient, very good at my job. I was a subject matter expert on various systems and, had the respect from that. But on the other side, I was very young, kind of very arrogant, and those two don't mix well in such a rigid structure, especially with chain of command, and that got me in a lot of trouble. That said, getting in that trouble and learning how to navigate within the system and still learning how to express myself and my desire to create and just do things, just create action. Learning how to do that within a constrained system, and eventually, towards the end of my military career, not getting in trouble quite as much, learning how to still be myself within the confines of a system has been instrumental to, what I do, what I've done throughout the rest of my life, especially starting a small business. Because sometimes you do have to bend rules, or you do have to do things in a very unconventional way, but you still have to keep in mind the way the overall structure of the world is meant to work, and your requirements, your what's the word I'm looking for here? Your obligations, navigating that system while still just exuding action out into the world. That was a skill I learned from the military, and that has really helped me.
And you went from the military into the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is it fair to say that was still more rigid and confining than being your own entrepreneur, but maybe not as rigid as being in the Navy?
That's very correct. Yeah, I was able to get a lot more done. My idea, I could manage small teams of people and bring my ideas to a physical reality and, accomplish projects and, actually perform actions out there. But I still felt very constrained. But my time in the military taught me how to best accomplish my goals within the confines of the system. And that's why I was so proud of my professional career, is I was able to get so much done despite, sometimes bending structure or doing things in a very unconventional way. I still accomplished everything for my teams and was recognized as such. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without, spending my early 20s battling the rigid confines of the military structure. So,
yeah, it's almost like you have this entrepreneurial journey of kind of breaking out of those confines, starting in the Navy and then going corporate and then moving into pure entrepreneurialism from there.
Yeah.
I think the other piece of it that I relate to, I always tell my teams, I was a partner in an accounting firm, 40-person small accounting firm in Portland, Oregon, but otherwise a traditional accounting firm. And accounting firms are fairly rigid usually in how they train people up, and so there's a lot of oversight. So your entry-level staff accountant will do work, and then some more senior-level accountant will review their work and provide them with feedback, and then the entry-level person has to make corrections, and then there might be somebody even higher up the chain that reviews all that and provides everyone with feedback. And so you have this very kind of rigid structure, and process is so important. Like every accounting firm, they make their money by having a good process that's both efficient but also ensures a certain level of quality and expertise is being delivered if it's a good CPA firm. And as a partner, when I became a partner in an accounting firm, and I had a team that was working under me, and some at entry level and they were working for some of the managers or people who were also working under me. I remember I would tell kind of the entry level people that were essentially in training, don't watch me and do what I'm doing, because I have that same kind of bent of being a little bit wanting to kind of veer away from the rigid structure or the process, but having been through the rigid structure and process of a public accounting firm, I understood the importance of it. I understood where its place was. And although I had reached a point and a career choice for myself at that point that I could kind of fly above it to some extent. It still had a place in the overall grand scheme of things, and I think that that's kind of what I'm hearing a little bit from you is that you've had the opportunity to kind of grow up in the systems that you did. You have a healthy respect for there's a time and place for process and standards, and there's a time and place for thinking outside the box. And
absolutely, my first hire was someone who I knew would be a stickler on process and procedure and everything else.
That's perfect. Yeah. So you find that person who can complement you in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great.